So this is Nottingham Budget Committee meeting, February 15th, 2024, 7:01. Budget members are here. We're also joined by Thomas Bakavich on speakerphone. So I guess we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sandra, if you could start us off, we'll do introductions for video and secretary.
Sandra Jones.
Robert Kelly.
Charlotte Fife.
John Decker.
Michael Kelly.
Owen Friend Gray.
Brett Tweed.
Megan Sabasco.
Jeffrey Morrison.
Tim DeBria.
And again, Thomas Bakavich is joining us.
Yes, Thomas Bakavich here.
There he is. Our purpose for tonight, thanks everybody for one more budget meeting. I know everybody was hoping to kick your feet up. One last one. There was a change to the school proposed budget of $40,759.31. It was Article 2. I'll read Article 2 and then I don't know if we really have any comments. I guess there could be time for comments, and then we'll vote whether we recommend or do not recommend Article 2. So this is the amended. Shall the Nottingham School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted within the warrant or as amended by the amended by the vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $16,704,201.31. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $16,517,172, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Nottingham School Board or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10 and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Majority vote required. As below, the operating budget warrant does not include appropriations contained in any other warrant articles. The school board met on February 7th, 2024 and recommended a proposed budget of $16,704,201 by a 4-0 vote. That was the amended, they recommended the amended number. Budget committee made a reduction of $3,000 and on January 18th, 2024 voted to recommend the proposed budget of $16,663,442 by a 6-5 vote. Estimated tax impact if this article passes is $15.52 per thousand. The estimated tax impact if this article does not pass is $15.31 per thousand. Again, the total amount change that we're voting on for the amended change is $40,759.31.
Right.
Yeah.
For $40,760 was the
Okay.
only amendment made on the floor, and we actually didn't read the total of the budget. So I don't know if that's, a little bit less is the actuals of the cost of the position, but it should be the dollar amount that was.
Do we want to amend this or
Well, we
correct it or?
can't really, but we can make the.
I mean, we could just,
We didn't have it written in front of us when we revoted. We voted right after
Okay.
deliberative session. But we
201.
had voted on the So
And you voted to approve that?
we voted to approve the new budget amount, that's the 4-0 vote. But again, the discussion was the new number to include 40,760.
Right.
So I don't know, because they round up on this, it also could have just been, whatever the numbers were.
I think we could just vote based on whatever the vote was based on the
Yeah, but
number.
We're only talking 69 cents for some reason, yeah.
Illegal, but usually they're rounded off.
I don't know, I'll give them the 69
Usually it's
cents.
always rounded off, I'm surprised you listed to the penny in here. Yeah, I know.
Anyone like to, I guess for my part, I feel like, from our work and with the school board's recommendation that this position hadn't been filled, hadn't been needed, so I don't see much sense in putting money into a position that isn't necessary.
Yeah, I agree that, we spent a long time working on this budget and concluded with, the support from the school board that this position was not needed. And I don't see why, I don't see why I would recommend this increase. I think that I can't recommend this change, and it makes sense, the work part, we discussed it, and why should 40 people who decide to show up convince me that they are the representatives of the entire country?
I'll just say that there were 2 school board members that voted no when the $40,000 was proposed.
Okay, so two out of,
Let me finish.
yep.
So then subsequently at the meeting, they were talking about the fact that there were 2 move-ins this year, for next year. It's gonna be an additional $40,000 they're gonna need anyway, which is why the school board voted, correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, 4-0, even though the 2 school board members voted no on the 40,000 and change for this position, they discussed it and decided they might not even fill the position, which still sucks. But they need the money. But that's why they voted 4-0 in favor.
And it was discussed that the addition at deliberative session is just a bottom line addition with the recommendation of what it's to be used for.
So I think to clarify, or maybe to hone that point in, we're not voting as to whether that $40,000 is appropriate or not. We're voting as to whether we think the 16.7 million is an appropriate budget versus the default.
And my understanding at the meetings with the superintendent was not at all that this position wasn't needed. It's that it had been unfilled because they were unable to find someone, that it is a needed position. So that's one point. And I hope that continued to look. But that it was also a compromise and a good faith compromise that there were, given, if we let them have the opportunity to decide which would be least impactful, that would have impact to lose that possible position, but it certainly wasn't without any impact at all. And we did give them that leeway, and they did make that compromise in good faith. I was, although I did not vote for the motion on the floor at the time, I was happy to see that people stepped up. And I don't care if it's 40 people or 10 people, they're the people who are there, they're the voters. They cared enough to be there. And if we don't act in accordance with the voters want, then I'm not exactly sure why we're here. I think it's a relatively small amount of money, and I think it's a little bit of hubris on our part. Yes, of course we worked hard on the budget, but that doesn't mean we're the be-all, end-all, know-all. And there are parents there that may have children who need a para, or there may be teachers who know that they need to be paras. It's a relatively small amount, and I'd like to put our hubris aside and say, yes, we did work hard, we tried hard, but people who care, who pay the taxes, who cared enough to come out and vote, did so.
And I want to add to what you're saying, Charlotte, that this was a school district meeting, so people that were there were the people who were most interested and aware of the school, and they're here again tonight, the 2 people who put this forward, I would assume that you were. And we look at things at a monetary need, and sometimes we're not really aware of the core needs. When people bother to come to the deliberative session, which is why it's there so that the voters can make changes, and there's a safeguard there. They can't make more than, I think it's 10%, right? They can't nobody can come in and double the budget or cut it in half or anything like that. A reasonable amount, a 10%, which this is minuscule compared to the entire budget. So I would hope that we would, and I would urge everyone that we support this budget as amended.
All right, Sandra, can you make a motion to recommend it then?
I make that motion to recommend it, yes.
Second that?
I just had one thing to say.
Just clarify, so motion made by Sandra Jones and seconded by Charlotte Pike. Any more discussion, comment?
Yeah, just one comment. I did mention this to the, when we did the school, when the school was here talking about this. My point was, what happens if this budget doesn't pass and the default budget's a lot less, right? What do you do? This is critical, this is crucial. It's a lot difference, right? 100 and something thousand, a little bit under 200,000 difference. I mean, sometimes the default budget does pass, a lot of times. What do you do then? Right, that's out of our hands, right? Schools are gonna have to make some choices, right?
The voters who come out will be the.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you there.
And that is part of being an SB two, that is part of it, we do our job and, we do as much as we can and then we hand over the budget to the deliberative session to make those determinations. And so, I think that maybe the school board discussed it in our meeting following when we revoted and, ultimately we support this budget. We were trying to, make some cuts where we felt it could be made. But as Tim said before, we just that night received 2 more high school enrollments for next year, which is $40,000. So, not that necessarily that's exactly what it's used for, but that is the reality of a tight budget. And so, if the default budget was to pass, if the school board was to say we don't recommend this, and we, that would be even, more difficult. So, I would, of course, be as a school board member, and I would be, in favor of it.
Maybe we could.
I'd like to mention something. We could have people 2 votes tomorrow.
Right.
So,
And that was,
it's, this is. True, or the homeschool kids, right, what happens, they want to opt in, right? Their families are still paying into the system, and they're not taking anything out,
Yeah.
right? So where's that money come from then, right? What do you do?
Exactly right. It's kind of-
No, they're already paying into
Always
it.
in flux. We're talking about a budget that is not to even start until a year and a quarter from, a year and 4 months from now.
July 1st.
They'll be here soon.
A lot of flux between here and there, so. And it's, so,
I'd like to say it was discussed with the school, we went back and forth on it. Consensus that that position wasn't required, nobody was losing their job, it wasn't filled at the time. In. Got it.
We did, that new warrant article.
Ultimately, it's gonna go in front of the voters anyway, it's simply a recommendation on our part. Whether to or not.
especially when you hear that it might not even, it can coat so quickly, just be fluid from, okay, for a para, oh no, it's for move-ins, it's for something else, it's like.
Well, and that's the part of the legislation that the voters really, they make amendments to change the dollar amount that's on the warrant. So, there's a recommendation that it's used for. And so I assume, I guess, assuming the full budget above the line, I assume that's where the dollars did go back to. But again, that would be
From all the reasons that we've just spoken about, they need to be fluid as well, as any business does. Had my own business, and you have to think on your feet and be flexible and be fluid.
And that does,
And you have to have some backup money.
and that
You
does
fail.
happen in the budget, if there is a, you know, a position that's not filled, that is that dollar amount that could push it, if there's more move-ins, there, you know, or a special ed student, you know, there are things in the budget, but the budget is budgeted based on our needs as of the day it was created, and so, those needs always do change, and that's just how budgets work, you know, and I said, I think we did our due diligence, I think we looked at everything, and, you know, I still feel that this budget is something that I would recommend for the voters.
Okay. Anyone else?
All right, great, let's vote on it.
Okay, so the motion on the table was all those
He's not even here.
in
Do
favor?
we have to roll, is he voting?
Yes.
Yes.
No, you can't vote.
According to Ellen from an email, she said if he can call in on speakerphone, we can all hear him and he can hear us.
Like Zoom, we did the
And
Zoom,
that was
right?
different than what we said earlier, but I think that's a much better decision.
Right.
Because there are times when people
Or
can't
sick or
be here
something.
and they can.
Right.
In the school board, we did vote with members on the phone, but we will call the vote.
That's fine.
Okay.
Do that.
we'll
So
do
I'm
that.
just saying, I don't know if that's official, but,
Sounds like a good plan. It's not gonna hurt.
Yeah, I can read what Ellen sent at 2:45 today. Yes, it is an in-person meeting because we no longer have Zoom as an option since COVID restrictions have been lifted. It will be brief. For future scheduling purposes, I'll be adding a meeting to the end of each deliberative session meeting, posting to give you the ability to make the decision after without having to do these additional meetings.
Right, I don't think
That
they
does
added
make
Zoom for like legal, you know what I mean? They make it like something special. Now it's legal to use Zoom.
No, they didn't change any legal.
They didn't change anything.
You can't vote in the House of Representatives
Yeah.
unless you're there in person.
So
would it be-
why don't we vote and do a roll call?
Well,
and that'll be,
so I have, because I guess Charlotte's wondering if Tom's vote can count. So why I was going to say yes, because at one point Owen was going to be able to call in and vote as well. I'm trying to find the email from Ellen to read that she sent me.
I mean, I think we can take your word for it. We'll find out later that he
Well, and
And modify the vote. If we do a roll
And I
call,
can
then it's
find-
very clear that
fine with
we
that,
have
yeah.
some legal interpretation later.
I mean, that's why I'm,
Then yes, you would
I was
have to
told it was in
meet
person.
to tally those, yes, you have to meet to tally those new recommendations or not recommendations. Not in that one.
No. Let's go forward and we'll figure out the legalese later. We're not gonna figure it out here now because
Okay.
we don't
The school
know.
board does it all the time. It's gotta be,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's legal.
I'd like to
Otherwise-
say something. In 2020, when the school board came in here and said that you had to wear a mask if you were an elected official, I was not allowed to participate in here. I missed 3 meetings in a row. I was asked to leave the building. I wasn't allowed to talk to the chair.
That's true.
I had to do it outside.
you couldn't zoom in.
And there was no
They didn't have
Zoom,
Zoom at the
because at the
time.
time, it was not declared that there was a state of emergency, and it was late 2020, early
Yeah, I remember that.
2021. I thought I was gonna get kicked off this board because I was not allowed to participate due to the fact that I wouldn't wear a mask in here. So I missed 3. The board ended up getting the Zoom link back up.
You couldn't
Um,
call on
but-
speakerphone?
Nope, at
No.
the
At the time,
time,
we had
at the time, the decision was not to do that, and the only way to do it was by Zoom. I don't know where that ended up, but I thought I was gonna get kicked off this board because I wasn't allowed to participate in here.
you
I'm
do-
like,
Well, that
hey,
would've been
I'll hang out in the window
Excuse absentee.
with a cup and a string, and I could say yes or no.
Your face
and-
against the
and-
window?
And we worked it out. But, you know, I would say in this instance, where Tom's out of town and we needed to post within a timely manner before the stuff hits the ballot, that's.
So you'd
that's-
like him to be able to vote tonight, is
And
what you're
I'd-
saying?
I would
I'd
say
like-
so, and
I'd like
it's
us
a
to
lot
keep
out
this-
of
Yeah,
control.
it'd be for everybody.
I'd like to keep this
in
a
that
precedent,
situation.
that we
Right.
have decided that this is a valid way to do it.
I think you should
Because he is
consult legal
commenting,
first.
and it's as much,
We don't-
as much here as the rest of us,
We don't
I
get to
think.
set and make precedent, unfortunately.
Yeah,
It's a
I-
legal
I-
determination. I think we roll call vote.
I think if we
Now.
call them, if
And
And we got it.
I'm not trying to be difficult, and especially not with you, Tom, but I specifically got these instructions today, like, do I need to be there in
Sure,
person? And I was
sure.
specifically told that I
Right.
was.
And how's the school board get away with it then if it might not be legal?
One, I mean,
Did they
one other
look into
comment
legal?
I make- one other
So
comment I
we're
make
not
is-
voting on a recommendation
Okay.
on a legal, those would be like our typical motions and approving minutes and things like that, but I will say that.
You'd have to go back and look.
It's still a vote of
Shall we
record.
move the
Roll call.
So I'd just like to make one other comment. So when we originally scheduled the meeting, it was under the assumption we were trying to figure out when everyone was available. And we did make a determination, I feel like some communication, that we based that on, hey, we're gonna be able to call in and make votes. We didn't know specific people weren't gonna be able to make it. It was to accommodate everybody. So I think
That's
we
true.
after the fact now say it doesn't count. We scheduled the meeting based on being able to call in and vote.
I think this meeting,
Some unfairness.
I agree totally. I think we really need to count all the votes.
Yep.
And Tom's vote will probably be different than mine, but I wanted to have it.
Let's do it. Roll call.
Okay, so those in favor of the motion, which is to recommend the Article 2 as amended at the school deliberative session. All those in favor, you can raise your hand.
I thought we were gonna
Oh, roll call.
roll call? That's right.
Sandra, yes.
Andrew Jones, yes.
Robert, no.
Charlotte Fife, yes.
John Becker is gonna be no.
Michael Kelly, no.
Owen Friend Gray, yes.
Brent Tweed, no.
Lenny Tabasco, yes.
skip Tom.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tom.
Hang on.
Thomas Bakevich, no.
Owen Friend Gray was yes. Brent Tweed was no.
No.
Jeffrey Morrison, no.
Yes.
Tom,
Tom was a no. You already voted.
Thomas Bakevich says no.
double checking. Because I'm writing notes. Okay. So,
You got a flip.
Motion does not pass by a vote of 6-5, correct?
So the budget committee does not recommend.
Does not recommend
By a vote of
6 to 5. Correct.
So just for clarification, so we're gonna have our not recommendation amended budget, but then our previous vote for the vote that we put forward does not necessarily.
Really unclear, this is the first time I've ever really seen them do this with the votes and all this language
Yeah.
on here.
Guessing the language was to help
I'm not
clarify
sure.
it for us. I don't think that's how it's going to appear on a warrant.
I'm not sure, I can,
But either way, it were all our votes and it doesn't matter because it's what we already voted.
right, yeah, so it's more informational, but I don't think it's just.
Yeah.
Everything, it's, yeah, and then usually it would just be the votes.
Because yours, if there would've been no changes, it would've showed you guys recommended your proposal, but it wouldn't even acted on it. Even though that's what the voting was, right?
Yeah, but then it should be.
Yeah.
Zero, there's more than 4 school board members.
Yeah, we just noticed.
On the back, it says 4-0, they recommend it. There's more than 4 school board
Sue
members.
wasn't there.
there was one person was absent.
Oh, it doesn't show like 4,
Right, because they were not there.
One was absent.
oh, okay.
One was absent.
Okay.
Okay.
And she didn't, she was not available.
I didn't realize that notation either, okay. Right.
All right, that is it for the recommendations of the school proposed budget.
I hate having to do that,
What's the other business? You absolutely didn't have to, but that's fine. Other business?
Other business is, so we have minutes from our January 8th meeting. We just got these today, so any amendments you have, if you could email them directly to Ellen White, Town Administrator. She'll make note of our amendments, and then next time we meet, we'll have to approve the minutes as amended. So it might be a couple of months out, so that's why if we make the amendments now, then we can vote on it next time we meet.
Because you'll have some idea of what you're talking about now.
Yes, yes.
Your memory will be better, even though it was.
Yes, that's a memory.
Give you a week.
Any other new
Better
business?
is a better way of saying
This was
that.
a long meeting where we didn't have audio at the beginning and then it.
And the
timed out
end.
at the
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, but at least the part we didn't have audio, we were
Written
discussing.
down and
minutes.
recorded.
We were discussing the minutes.
We were going over the minutes, so.
Yep.
Went off at midnight, right?
It went off at midnight and then Owen took notes.
Right.
You're at the end.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yep,
Yes.
move.
Motion to adjourn by Sandra Jones, seconded by Jeff Morrison. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye, unanimous.